Sharon's funeral, and my special request, David and Sharon, make this a celebration of life. To be sad about this day, rather to be celebrating. And
Speak up
Can't
a
hear
little
you.
bit.
celebration of life.
Well, do that again, please.
David made sure for me to say, to emphasize, and I appreciate it. Him and Sharon really wanted today to be a celebration of life. That's a beautiful thing. Especially, if I may add, David, today was still in the week after the holidays. It's Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and Simchat Torah. On our calendar, this is our most joyous time on our calendar. And although this past week has been maybe our most difficult time as a Jewish people in a long, long time, but today is still a special week. And so therefore, we're going to begin with a chapter of Psalms. מכתב לדוד שמני אל כי חסיסי בך, אמרת לאדוני אדוני אתה, ובאסי בלעדיך. וקדושים אשר בארץ המה, ועדידי כחפצי בם. ירבו עצלויסם אחים ההורב על אסף, נשגים בדם, אבל עשר שמש נסבסי. ונועים ונסתלתי בחסי עתה תמת ברבי. חבלם נפלי בן אימים, אף נחלס שפר עלי. וברך אסעניה שיצאני אף לילס, סוני חלגויסי, שביסי אדוני לנגדי סמיד, ממני ברמוית, וכן שמחתי בביוב וכבודי, אף בסב ישכן ודתך. ויסעזרי בנפשי לשאול, וצית מחסית חברי לשחס, תודיעני ארחיים סבב שמחס וספנחה, ואימוס במינך נצח. A letter by David, watch over me, O God, for I have put my trust in you. You, my soul, have said to God, you are my master, you are not obligated to benefit me. For the sake of the holy ones who lie in the earth, and for the mighty, all my desires are fulfilled in their merit. Those who hasten after other gods, their sorrow shall increase. I will not offer their libations of blood, but take their names upon my lips. The Lord is my allotted portion and my share. You guide my destiny. Portions have fallen to me in pleasant places. Indeed, a beautiful inheritance is mine. Bless the Lord who has advised me. Even in the nights, my intellect admonishes me. I've set the Lord before me at all times, because he is at my right hand, I shall not falter. Therefore my heart rejoices, and my soul exults. My flesh too rests secure. You will not abandon my soul to the grave. You will not allow your pious ones to see purgatory. Make known to me the path of life, that I may be satiated with the joy of your presence, with the bliss of your right hand. Before I pass the mic over to David, I'd just like to, in the spirit of the celebration of life, for us all to remember that Sharon had a most beautiful life. And although the last few years have been very challenging, for somebody to be able to live such a long life, and most of it to be still cherished, and to be able to find David and to be living with David for so many years, that's been a life of joy. David, please come on.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming today. I know that many of you have come from long, long distances, so I appreciate all of that. And right now, there's a hole in my heart. We've been together for a long, long time. It was a beautiful, beautiful experience, and I'm so glad you're all here. I want to make a few remarks. I have to take my glasses out, excuse me. So last week, an extraordinary person left our midst. She was in this world 88 years and led a very fulfilling life. She was the sweetest, kindest person I have ever known, but she was very smart and had a remarkable sense of humor. Around our family, she was known as a piece of work. And that's okay to laugh. That's what today is about. We wanted to be a little upbeat. Hard at a time like this, I know. But nevertheless, this was a beautiful life that she led. And whatever she did, it was with passion and it was with purpose and a large measure of wisdom. As a matter of fact, I remember her years ago when she was much younger and some colleagues from Lawrence, New Jersey, where she was teaching, had passed away. And she made a piece for them. I don't remember whether it was a painting or something on woven material, but she called it, "It is joyful on the other side." That was her back then as a public school teacher in Lawrence, New Jersey. Okay. But even though she was an artist, and you all know her as that, and I know that many of you around here are wearing her scars today, I have my little pocket square here that she made. But the thing I want you to know, and she said this time and time again, that she always considered her 4 kids, Paula, Mark, Jordana, and Pete, her 4 greatest masterpieces. That's how she felt about her kids. And she loved them deeply, with a lot of passion, with a lot of good advice, and worried a little too much about them near the end. But that was who she was. She was a worrier. And what she also was a warrior. What she has gone through these past 5-6 years, I don't know how she managed to get as far as she did, but she was a warrior and she came through every step of the way. Okay, so, and she loved her kids, her grandkids. We have 8 of our grandkids. Almost all of them were here. I think just one's absent in Indiana. And we love the family gatherings. We got together last night for a little soiree. I remember Connor walking out with 3 bottles of Modelo beer. I hope you enjoyed it, Connor. By the way, this is Connor over here. He's 6'2". He towers over me, and he gets taller because I start shrinking. So I'm getting smaller, and he's getting bigger. Look up like that. But outside, to see the collage, and I thank Jordana for putting this together. The collage of Connor when he was about 2 years old. He was about this tall, maybe, and now he's 6'2", and he got so much pleasure out of. She got so much pleasure out of spending time with you in her class and everything else. Okay. So I also want to say that we were together for 44 years, and if you do the math, Sharon was 88. You can figure it out. She was with me half her life. And they were the best years of my life. She was my partner, she was my friend, she was my everything. And we did so many great things together. We walked together, we had meals together. By the way, I became the chef in the family for about the last 5 years. And no small measure that I didn't learn a lot from Jordana, who's a master chef herself. And thanked me at every meal. Thanks for doing this, David. She called me Dave, but anyway. We appreciated all that. We did everything from going to the movies together, going to theater, going to concerts, traveling. We loved traveling. We were everywhere. And I also wanted to say that I'm back on the script again. That I like now. The kids call me Dad. I'm not their natural father, but the kids call me Dad. And the grandkids call me Papa. I think Pete invented that one. He sort of bestowed it on me. So I became Papa. And we were in book groups, we traveled, everything. And we did we had a little Peruvian place that we liked to go. We called Brancada. We celebrated all our birthdays and anniversaries. And that was great. And then we had when the pandemic hit, we were doing a lot of takeout. So you probably know about her art career. Those of you who are wearing her scarves, actually there'll be a scarf giveaway if you come to the house. Because that's what she wanted. She told me this in her life, that she wanted people who knew her to be wearing what it is she wore. I have this, I have some ties, I have some other things. She was at, if you ever, excuse me, should have had some water. Does anybody have any water or bottled water or something? Thank you. Just give me a minute. She went to a very prestigious school known as RISD, Rhode Island School of Design. I think it's between the Chicago Art Institute and RISD. It's like the Coke and Pepsi. Who gets number one? I think RISD nails it. They do a lot of great things up there. She also went to Boston University. And then she became a teacher, a public school teacher in Lawrence, New Jersey. And an educator myself, I had the opportunity of sitting in on one of her classes. Merrilee, who became her aide, had 7 years old actually, was in her class. Connor was there at age 2, I believe that's the pictures outside. Merrilee became a close friend of ours and was also in Lawrence, was an aide when Sharon was teaching her final chapter of teaching in Lawrence. And then when she retired around 1994, she came and followed me down here, Northern Virginia, and she followed me, and we bought a home, which she loved because it's kind of like this, airy and light, with a great big yard in the back, and it was a special place and had family gatherings and so forth. And what was also interesting, when she came down here, she had never in her life done silk painting. And from somebody she met somewhere along the way, she learned silk painting. And from the silk painting, she built a studio. She gathered whatever funds she got from her sales, and before you turned around, 1997, I believe, built a studio. Those of you who know our home know there's a studio in there with all our work, and I happen to be a drummer, and that the joke goes around that she leased me space in the studio so I could practice drums. That was Sharon. And we find that our home is kind of like a gallery. When you come down after, I hope you can make it to our home, you'll see how beautiful Sharon made our home. And not a piece is going to be moved. Well, I think Jordana has her hand on her name on a bunch of pieces that she's going to take. And so all the kids have something of some of our, in their own home. And Paula has her whole walls, and the whole place is full of Mom's painting. Great big one of Algonquin name. I'm almost finished, folks. So, since last Tuesday was the day she passed, and kind of ironic that she passed on October 3rd, and my youngest brother Marty, that was his birthday, he passed away himself about 4.5 years ago. Just ironic that it was on the same day. But I heard from just about all of you in various forms, text, messages, computer, and so forth. And so the way I want to close this is something very personal that I'd like you all to take away today. Just try to maybe close your eyes and visualize who Sharon was in your life, what she meant to you, what role did she have in making your life a better life. And the way I see her as a force of nature. And she brought out the best in everybody she touched. Just think about that for a moment. That's who she was. She was a bright, shining spirit. She made the world a better place. And as we all know, the last few years were very challenging. But the good news is that she's at peace now. Matter of fact, as I was telling some stories about the passage of my own mother many years ago, that right now, she's smiling down, she's here with us. In some way, she's knowing that you're all here, celebrating her life, and making this world a better place. And God bless her soul. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I invite Paula to the stage. Say a few words.
Well, Dave, that that was beautiful, and I think you actually captured it all, so I really have nothing to say. But that was beautiful. Thank you all for coming today. We really appreciate it, especially for those who came from far, and many of you did, California, Englewood, New Jersey, and other places. I just want to share a few things about my mom that you probably already know. She was a gifted and talented artist. During her 88 years, created a wide variety of different art mediums, starting with oil paintings, pastel, watercolors, pottery, unique weavings, with a loom she got from Vermont in the 1970s and has sat in our house for many, many years. As Dave mentioned, she finally took the challenge of silk making. And it was hard for her at first. She mastered it though, and her studio is now filled with the many colored scarves from over the last 2 decades that remind me of Joseph's multicolored dream coat.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And you'll see that when you get
That is awesome.
today. Sharon was a trailblazer. She gave off a bright light of energy, as Dave mentioned. Sometimes that light was a little too bright for some people. I think we know. However, she put a lot of pressure on herself to be successful. She needed to learn and accomplish things all the time. That was very important for her. She was a perfectionist as an artist, as an art teacher. She loved her students. She was kind, wise, and she really loved strangers a lot. Some of the things that also gave her life joy were animals, deer, and turkeys, and I would send her pictures from my New Jersey backyard, because I was lucky enough to get the deer and the wild turkeys and foxes running through like every week. And it just made her day. I emailed them to her and I texted them to Dave to share. And every time I came to visit her, she said, "Have you seen any deer lately?" I haven't seen a deer in a month or 2. So I'm glad that made her happy that I could share the animals with her. I believe Sharon was an influencer. She was a trendsetter before that term became a thing with Instagram posts. She was involved with spiritual groups, holistic thinking, counseling. She practiced gratitude often. Very involved in diet and nutrition, except for those afternoon Doritos and coffee ice cream she liked. But before they all became an accepted way of life, my mother was starting to do this like 30 years ago. And she was very courageous for doing it. I do know we had a colorful salad on the table every night for dinner, and to this day it's still a staple in our family. So growing up, I knew my mother was very serious. She was career focused, leaving the house at 7 o'clock, not coming home till 4, being a school teacher. However, after marrying our wonderful David and retiring from teaching and moving to this beautiful home in Annandale, she became more funny, developed a sense of humor, was happier, and had all these cute little Sharonisms that made Dave and I laugh so hard when I came to visit most recently in the past several years. As Dave mentioned, I did travel extensively, many historic bed and breakfasts throughout Virginia, and she was so thankful for all the new galleries that she could join. She never got accepted into many in New Jersey, but she was accepted into many galleries here in Virginia, and started finally getting the appreciation for her artwork that she so wildly deserved and craved. So she got that here. I'll finish with this 2 last things that my mother shared with me. From where you sit, you never know from what the band is going to play. I found that to be so profound. And also, she learned this from her father, Harry, and when she worked in his store in Lowell, and she passed this down to me a lot as well. When you first meet somebody new, you're having a conversation with them, don't talk about yourself. You know about you. You don't know about the other person. Ask them questions. Be curious. They will open up. They will be appreciative that you listen to them, and you may even learn something from them. And that's really important. Listening is an art form. Thank you, Mom. I love you. And now I'd love Mark to come up and speak something.
Thanks, Paula. I know some of you, a little distraction, but it also is bringing us joy to hear Sharon's great-grandson outside. He's there playing. So I appreciate you putting up with that.
So, last March, we celebrated Mom's 88th birthday, and of 4 children, it was the last time we were all together with her. We didn't know that at the time, but it felt really great to be there. And I wrote a poem about it called 88 Candles. Some of you have seen it up on Facebook, which is all about the love that she received and then the love she's given out to all of her children and descendants as they go on. For today, I'm not going to read that poem. I actually selected a poem I wrote for her 15 years ago. And Paula touched on it a little. The reason I wanted to do this poem is because even though this is a celebration of Mom's life, there's also parts of Mom that were not quite celebratory, that we all know that she could sometimes be moody, and she had a lot of stuff when she was younger where, I don't know, there was some pain and worry, which ended up, as Paula mentioned, Dave, everything lightened up towards the end. But I wanted to address some of those things about Mom. But then I also want to address the other incredible thing, which is the love and the gift that she gave to all of her students. She had hundreds and hundreds of students, not in elementary school, but then she finished at high school, in Lawrence High School. And the effect that she had and what she passed on to all of them is just unbelievable. If you go and look at Mom's Facebook page right now, there's this last post that was put up there in September by this woman named Kathy. And it was Kathy, who was one of her students that graduated over 50 years ago, reaching out to Mom saying what effect she had on her life and her career in becoming an artist. So I reached out to this Kathy woman, partly to let her know, about Mom's passing, but this is what Kathy wrote back to me in a little message. She said, "Your mom was a caring teacher, and I have some lovely memories of her. I don't know if she realized the hard time I was having back then, but she made me feel special and talented. Art classes were my salvation." And that's just one of like hundreds of students that she affected and went on to have great careers. Some of my best friends who actually went to Lawrence High School had her classes and became artists and so on. So this poem kind of addresses that as well. So I'm going to read this poem. If I can get through it, if I can, I'll bring in my relief pitcher, Molly, my daughter, to help me finish this poem. It's called The Gift. Oh, and as reference, I was born in New Hampshire in a blizzard, and apparently my father wasn't around. I think he had taken Paula down to Lowell to be with grandparents, and then he couldn't get back because of the blizzard, so-called blizzard. There was probably 3 inches of snow, and over the years it's grown up to 8. So, anyway, here we go. Try to get through it. The Gift. The snow fell gently down around the only lighted room, like a blanket softly wrapped around the world. You were alone, but you weren't lonely as you softly wrapped me in your arms and held me close, where we lay asleep till dawn. 50 years ago, this is now 64 years ago, I wrote this one. 50 years ago, it snowed so hard in that cold New Hampshire March, and you probably felt my little hands and my little face. I think for once you were at ease, the way you tell it now. Almost like you were pleased that no one could get there through the 8-foot drifts and invade our little space. You were never so at ease again, yearning for something else, for some elusive calling that was so far from within. I ache sometimes to see you wander down the spirit path, with all of its meandering and pandering and little teasing glimpses of the true light. I ache sometimes to see you search so long and hard for peace that is always just around the bend. A peacefulness you preach to all your children and your friends, but is always just another reach away. And I see it there in your deep, exhausting sigh, where your eyes can't hide the wondering that expectations bring, like another cold, forgotten spring. I ache sometimes. 50 years ago, it snowed so hard in that cold New Hampshire March, but now Virginia balances her warmth on your backyard habitat. You balance your physical burdens with your enlightenment and ask if it was worth the trek. And I look in your studio to see a lifetime work of art that gives a partial yes. The silken scarves of swirling painted dreams, the woven threaded hangings made from sticks and nests and animal hair that I can only guess about, and the paintings that change styles as you evolved across the miles of your life. But to me, these are the slivers and reflections of the real light shining deep in gold, like liquid iron pouring on the canvas to behold. Your real creation, all the children that you taught those years who went out in the world to spread and smear their watercolor joys and charcoal fears and rich red oils of success. Some laced with indigo inky tears, but all carrying your heart, your breath, your brush strokes etched in their foundation, a gift for them to carry, for them to craft a world of beauty and to draw on as they grow. They all remember you, you know. 50 years ago, it snowed so hard in that cold New Hampshire March when your second piece of art was born, but your works would never be complete until you finished with the four of us, Jordan, Paula, me, and Dee, who represent the sweet gift shimmering inside your soul that you offer to this world. I hate sometimes, but usually I find it comforting to know your glow shines on inside of us and all those children, now grown-ups with children of their own. I hope you know. And I hope you're now at ease like that snowy night, settling gently down around your own warm heart, with the knowledge that this gift you gave us all will always beat its wings in flight, will always spread your love of light. One more line. And we will always be a part of your eternal sweet insight. Thank you. And now, Jordan.
Well, everyone has said so many beautiful things. More than what I've written, but it's just about the relationship that I have.
Use the mic.
with me.
Can't hear you.
Okay, so. Thanks. Thank you. Everyone has said so many beautiful things about my mom, our mom, and how she's touched everyone's lives with all of the art, all of her culture, all of her sassiness and creativity, and it's just amazing how everyone has seen her and believes in her and loves her. But this is what I wrote, and I was flying on an airplane to get here. I wanted to say goodbye. And as I wrote this, I think it was about the time when she passed away, so I almost feel like she was going to heaven while I was flying here to see her. My beloved mother, thank you for the most beautiful name, Jordana Sharon Safran, which I did not appreciate until my older years. I never thought this day would come. I always believed you were eternal and would always be here for me. We had such a special, beautiful, strong bond, with which I, as your daughter, was truly blessed to have. So many wonderful memories I have of you. When Connor was just 2, I was living with you for a while, and that's, I think, when our bond really grew. I remember you taking me to culinary school and how hard it was to say goodbye then. All the summers that we would come visit Connor and Parker, either by auto train or by car. The beautiful gardens that you had, both on Bayberry Street and Thorn Drive. You loved your fresh fruits and vegetables. What an artist you were, an incredible talent, which again, as an adult, I now see through a different lens. And I read a little bit of her journal. It was her last journal on July 19th. It was in the year 2019. And Paul and I were there for Mother's Day. And she wrote that she was in so much pain, but she never laughed as much and as hard as she did that day when I did go around and put my name on all the pieces of artwork that I wanted for my Mother's Day.
It was fun.
So I also remember your difficult times when you found out you had endometriosis, followed by your hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. That was not hard. That was hard, and that was not fair. That changed the course of your life. You still never gave up. You were a fighter, and you never stopped fighting. You raised me to be sassy, strong, smart, independent, and funny. But you especially raised me to be caring, giving, and kind. I have always been guided by your love and nurturing to get through anything. You never judged. You always saw the beauty in me and my capabilities, even when I couldn't see them myself. I cherish every moment I spent with you. I thank you for seeing my vision and pull to go to Israel and become a reality. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. Thank you for choosing me to be your daughter. It has been the most incredible love I have ever felt. You are now finally free, free of pain, free of worry, free of fear. For this I am grateful. You will be greatly missed in body, but you will always be with us and me in my heart and in my soul. In loving, Jordana.
Sweet. Very nice. Good job.
All right. Well, if we learned anything today, we know Dave's going to be a stand-up comedian. Funny. Paula teased this out. You never know what the band will play from where you sit. This is something my mom said to me all the time. I always thought it was a funny phrase and something no one else ever said. I used to joke with her that if you sat close enough to the stage, you could see the set list, and then you would know when the band was going to play. She just laughed about that. But what she meant by it was you never know what to expect when you think you know. Life changes. It does something differently. This is how she was as an artist. She didn't fully envision her final piece. She had an idea of where to start, but then as she painted, wove, and sculpted the work, it would flow and take her places she didn't expect it to go. And like a sorcerer creating a magic potion, she would use anything and everything in this world to add to her work. Seashells, tinfoil, dryer lint, it didn't matter. She would weave them in, because she found beauty and texture in everything she saw. And she never, ever, ever made anything the same. If you look at her hundreds of creations, no two are the same. She also evolved as an artist throughout her career, from drawing and painting to clay and weaving to pins, ties, and silk scarves. John Lennon once said, "I am an artist. You give me a tuba and I'll get something out of it." That's how my mom was. I believe this is not just because she was creative, but because she was a nonconformist. Although proud of her Jewish heritage, she had trouble following all the traditions and rules that came with it. Similarly, she could never play board games or anything that was very structured. She always needed freedom of thought and expression for it to be of interest. This was one of her gifts to me. Be it religion, politics, drugs, relationships, she never tried to dictate what I should be, what I had to do, what I had to follow or obey. Another gift was some advice she gave me around 1994 that changed my life as well as others here today. I had moved to Atlanta with my band, and a couple years in, Suzanne and I had split up, in part because I was focused more on the band and my job at the time. I was distraught for several weeks and had no choice to move on. But my mom said one night, "If you want her, go and get her." Spoiler alert, Suzanne and I have been married for 27 years. The gifts of Joshua, Sierra, and Anashay are with us. And if I had given up, who knows? You never know what the band will play from where you sit. Now, my mom's not perfect. She didn't come watch every soccer game, or sometimes even remember to come pick me up. She didn't give me lots of gifts or money to help me get going in my early years. But what she always gave me were the feelings of safety and warmth because her love was so strong. It's hard to explain, but as a little boy, it would wrap around me and make me feel, well, loved. For many years after my dad left, Mark and Paula were up and out, and Jordana was busy being a soccer star. It was just me and her at the dinner table. We had great conversations, we were buddies. You know how each of you, even though you're older now, still picture yourself at a certain age? I'm now 56, but I still feel like that little boy at the dinner table, surrounded by her love, keeping me warm. She obviously was my creative inspiration, always my champion, a wonderful teacher, a caring parent, and a true friend. But to me, as that little boy at the dinner table, she was my mom. And I won't miss her. So I'm happy she is free from her ailing body. And as for what happens when she and we leave this world, well, you never know what the band will play.
Beautiful, amen.
I'd actually now like to have my daughter come up, and she's going to sing a few things, just some short things that I need to.
I'm very short, so I'll try to. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. And I just want to say one more thing that my father has requested. We'll show him a peck from Guys and Dolls, because he said she was always singing that. And
She was.
I even remember her singing that to us when we were littler. All right. If anyone wants to sing along, please feel free. I love you,
A bushel and a peck, a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck, a hug around the neck,
and a barrel and a heap, a barrel and a heap, and I'm talking in my sleep about you, about you. 'Cause I love you, a bushel and a peck, you bet your pretty neck I do. I do 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 do
If anyone else would like to come up and say a few words, we welcome you to just come up and just really short. Couple
Are we
minutes.
running out of time?
Wonderful. I think Suzanne.
I
you
have a
wanna say
quick story to tell.
All right. Luckily, I didn't write anything, so I can be very quick. I just want to tell a quick story. One is very funny, but I will say, I feel like Sharon came to me twice this weekend. One in like a really important way, and one in a very funny way. So I want to start by saying, you can see why I was drawn to this family. I am an art appreciator, and they are full of artists. And as I listened to everyone speak today, I'm like, yes, this is how I was drawn to this family. And I remember when I first started dating Pete, we would come visit. And one of the first things I would always do is be like, oh, what are you working on, Sharon? And she loved like showing me all her new artwork. And so it was kind of like the first thing that really brought us together. And Dave was also talking about the things that we learned from Sharon. And Sharon was the one who introduced me to the law of attraction. And I feel like it was something that really stuck with me, and that I really believe in. That
like, somehow told me I'm good. And I said to Pete, I said, if anyone that I know my whole life could send me a vibration, because I've never experienced that before, I said, it would be her. So I believe that she did. And then she came to me in this very funny way. So, and I remember always saying she wanted this to be a celebration, so I thought it was appropriate to tell this funny story. So Jordana had asked me to make cookies for later today. And so I made some oatmeal chocolate chip. Those are good, they're fine. And I was making these little thumbprint cookies, and it's just sugar, flour, and butter. So I'm making them, I'm rolling them out, I'm putting little sprinkles in them, I throw them in the oven. And as I'm cleaning up, I look over and I see the sugar. I was like, oh my God, I didn't put the sugar in. So I'm like, oh, I pull them out of the oven, I'm like, I have to throw these out and start over. And I was like, no. Sharon would be like, no, don't do that, don't waste it. So I threw all the dough back into my mixing bowl. I added the sugar, I mixed it all up, and I was like, oh, she's gonna be so proud of me. Like, this is great. I was like, instead of being perfect little cookies, like little sprinkles will be all mixed in, it'll be beautiful. So I did it, put them in the oven, and they came out, and to me, they were like horrible. I was like, oh my God, they're like flat and horrible. I have visual aids that I'll show you. So I got up early the next morning, and I baked them. And so this is, I guess that's the whole story, because this is like, Sharon and I, this was our only mother-in-law, daughter-in-law disagreement. Like, she was a creative, I'm a scientist. I'm a recipe cook. She's like, just throw it in and see what happens. So I thought this was like our last epic battle. So I got up the next morning and I baked, because I had to have like the perfect cookies. And he gets up, of course, and he sees what I made, and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, those are perfect. And I was like, oh. No, I had to have my recipe notes. So I brought them here. This is my visual aid. These are Sharon's beautiful artistic cookies, but I thought they were perfect, so I still made them. So, and this is your invitation if you want to taste test both the artistic and they will be at the celebration.
That's adorable. Anybody else would like to come up?
I'm a friend of Sharon's, who used to live in Washington, D.C. And all the talent that you carry in your family, some of us are just an audience. And this is one of her creations that I just really cherish. I'm really moved by the family. So thank you very much. And I love it that you share. I'm sort of a spiritual friend of Sharon's, and we would visit David and Sharon, and I always felt like I was a good audience because I had no talent myself. So David would play the drums, and Sharon would either go to her latest art show, and I just really, really appreciate your friendship. But when I saw her, it was like a flash of light, David. And so that's why I experienced Sharon was as a sort of a soul sister. And I see that you share that in the flesh, so thank you for sharing with us. And please excuse me for my emotion.
Thank you.
I'm Sharon's brother, for those who may not know. I'd like to give everyone here a present. It's information which you may not know, and even if you know about it, it's worth repeating it. Our rabbis teach us that a person can do more for a person when they are in the next world than when the person is in this world. How can they do that? by doing good deeds in memory of the person that passed away. When I speak of good deeds, I don't mean something which takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of money. I speak of good deeds, some small little things. Giving someone a smile, saying good morning to somebody, giving someone a compliment. All these things, if a person does these things, it helps it's beyond our understanding how much that can help the soul of the person in the next world. So I'd like everyone here maybe could think of some small thing that they could do in memory of Sharon for 30 days. Whatever, every person, whatever they feel they can do, a little small thing that they can do in her memory. When it was coming here, our brother Samuel, who couldn't come because he had COVID, he just recovered from COVID. So I asked him, can you say something that you could do or we could do together? So he said, appreciation. We should think about how grateful we are that we wake up in the morning, that our heart is beating, that our lungs are working, that we don't have, God forbid, some terrible disease. Just thankfulness to God. That's how we can show appreciation. Well, our son Arsha said, well, that's a big thing, not a small thing. So I called back Samuel and I said, it's a big thing. He said, yeah, but it doesn't take much time. It doesn't take much effort. You do that, do these little things, show your appreciation. If you show appreciation for 30 days, that'll be a very big thing. So it comes out that really, Sharon, your siblings are here. Samuel, because what he just said, Freddie, who came with difficulty, or her husband not well, we had to leave him, Rebecca brought her, and Deborah, who came from, with Bob, her husband came from Alcott, California, and you, Sharon, so we're all here, we're here in one unit. Sharon was an unbelievable person. You all heard everything was said, but what more can I add? My wife called her a warrior. A warrior. She had so many difficulties in her life, so many sicknesses, and she came and she kept on fighting and fighting. She didn't give up, and she kept on doing more and more. Even now, before she got this latest thing, she was so upbeat. It's hard to understand how she was able to do that. And as was said by how much she did for other people, right? She did for her husband and for her children and for her students, that anyone and so many other people who she came in contact with, she helped them to become better people. And not only Sharon, unbelievable, her husband David, also an unbelievable person. You remember through all these things, all the difficulties she went through, he was behind her, encouraging her, spurring her on to go more. And just her whole life was different because of David. And he's such a good person, he's so kind, he's so helpful. He was so grateful to you. Grateful to you for doing all that you do. My wife said, he's a prince. David's a prince. That's puts it into one word. If you can, you put one word, he's really a prince. And Sharon's children, there's each one of them is so special in their own way. And they brought Sharon so much happiness in her life. Like was said, that was her most beautiful art that she did, was having her 4 children. In conclusion, I'd like to ask that God should comfort all of the mourners, and also we pray God should help us, all of us to become, all mankind should become one unit and walking in the ways of God. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, David.
want to take the opportunity to tell Grandma Sharon again that I love her. Try to take the opportunity as much as possible to stay in contact. We had so many regular phone calls, and the way my brain works, I have absolutely zero conception of time, and I lose track of at least once a month, and sometimes more, but I'm lose track, and wish I could get some of that back. But especially, I think it was maybe, I don't know, about a week, maybe two before she passed. The last time I got to speak with her on the phone, and so just what my earliest memories are of living with my mom and grandma in New Jersey, and she's a very special, important person to me, and you can see all her from everyone said everything that needs to be said. I just want to take the opportunity to tell her again in a place that I think she can feel that I love you, Grandma. And thank you everyone for being here.
Hi, I was going to make a quick comment, but for those of you who don't know, I'm Molly. I'm the first granddaughter that was born. I'm my son. And I'm also a teacher. I'm a history teacher. And the last few times that I went to visit, I brought this little green notebook. And I was like asking all these questions about family history and writing them all down. And then I would go online and I found pictures from the archives, and I was able to find what boat our great grandparents came over on. And I was just thinking a lot about that path to get us here, and how many people in a row loved people to make space in the world for us all to be here together. And I know Grandma really liked the imagery of the tree of life. And so, I'm so happy, even though he couldn't sit through the ceremony, that baby Hayes is here, because we can just see the sort of different ways that tree looks. And we have our little sapling out there who's running around. And so I just want to acknowledge, thinking about the fact that that tree has roots that go so deep. And it has us still sort of growing out here, and I'm grateful that we all have the opportunity to be here at the same time and be touched by other people and continue making that new growth for a better future. And thank you, Grandma, for your role in that.
Sweet. Very sweet.
I have a little poem I'd like to read. It's very short. It goes as follows. It's called The Dash Poem. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent alive on earth, and now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, cash. What matters is how we live and love, and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved
If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they said and how you spent your dash?
Wow. That's awesome.
I don't think there was any question about how Sharon spent her dash. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Moral support.
Okay.
Point.
So impressed. Alan, oh my Sharon brags so much about her kids. She told me they were wonderful. Not only children, I have laryngitis, I'm sorry for the voice. That's why I brought them up, just in case it goes out. But she told me so much about her children, each birth grandchildren, how proud she was of you. Each and every one of you, I know everything about you. And Dave is Superman, I told him. He was Sharon's Superman. And he's such an inspiration to me. And Sharon was so lucky, and she knew it. She told me every time she spoke. And I wanted to tell you something too. I met her when she was teaching. My daughter was in first grade, and her method of teaching was unlike anyone else. She made these children create with their minds. They weren't tracing their fingers and making a turkey. They were making masks. They were creating with feathers and went from the dryer. You know, they were using their minds, and they were making beautiful things. And she had complete control of the class, not big teachers these days. The kids listened to her, they respected her, and they really, really learned. My daughter created things that I never thought a first grader would bring home. They were truly works of art. And the last thing I wanted to say is how Sharon and I could talk about nature. Just the beauty of nature. And I would come home and tell her I found the most beautiful leaf on the ground with a drop of rain on it. And we would talk about it, and I wish I could have drawn that picture, but it's in my heart.
Won't take a lot of time, but one of my longest memories over the years, as Marilyn pointed out, Sharon was actually his first grade teacher. Actually, she's 40 now, so they have a long relationship. But beyond that, there were many times in my life that things had to be put on hold because my wife and Sharon were on the phone. Lunch, not so much. Dinner, maybe not, you know. They spent hours and hours talking with each other and talking. I would listen in on sometimes. And they would be talking about nature, about art, about the school, and about everything else. But in my interaction with Sharon, which is nowhere near as much as my wife, I think the words that come to mind, some people have hinted at this so far today, but I think it's pretty true. She was a force of nature. She really was. I've never seen anybody that had so much energy, so much creativity, and just sort of dedication to what she was all about. And other than missing a lunch and a dinner or two, you know, I'm grateful for knowing her.
I just have one small story that I have with her. It was the last time I spoke with her. And Sharon and I used to go to the movies in Princeton, New Jersey together. And she said to me, Marilee, I told her that we had just gone to the movie and we saw Oppenheimer. She loved when I shared about movies with her. And she said, did you get popcorn? And I said, yeah, I did. And she said, do you still eat it one piece at a time? And I said, I eat it one piece at a time? And she said, you do?
You do.
And I said, you remember that about me? That's probably like 40 years ago.
No.
And she remembered that. And I just thought that was so cute. It was such a Sharonism.
Anyone else want to say something? We're all good?
You want to go?
Pointing at me.
With Trina, yeah. I just,
Should I interrupt the rabbi?
just 1 minute. I just wanted to say that to the very end, Sharon was still active in Artisans United Gallery. As a matter of fact, not only was she still involved with that, about 2-3 weeks ago, 5 pieces that we mailed to Jordana in Colorado sold out. We gave Jordana the money because she earned it. So she was still active right to the very end. And
She was a force of nature and very creative, encouraging to all the artists at Artisans United. And she, just like someone mentioned, if someone came in to browse in the gallery, she would approach and chat. And so when COVID came around, I described to her how that changed, that we would have to chat from a distance. And it was just like, oh goodness, you know, of course a change in life. But David, thank you for sharing her with all of us and just enabling all of us to be free spirits along with Sharon. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, very, very welcome. Thank you.
Before I conclude with chapter 23 of Psalms, I want to read to you an email that I received. Your mother is smiling down on you now. She loves you deeply, wants you to be strong now that she is no longer here. She wants you to go about the rest of her life remembering the values she taught you, the music and theater she exposed you to, even the drum lessons she arranged for you. She wants you to be happy. She doesn't want you to be sad because she went away. You're fortunate because you will always have an important connection with her. This is actually a letter that David sent me. His rabbi told him when his mother passed away. I thought it was so appropriate. Only one line gave it away that it was about David. But besides that, it was a perfect description from your mother. So, thank you, David, for that. Please rise. Chapter 23 of Psalms. is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures, he leads me beside still waters. He revives my soul, he directs me in the path of righteousness for the sake of his name. Even if I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff, they will comfort me. You will prepare a table before my enemies, you have anointed my head with oil, my cup is full. Only goodness and kindness shall follow me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord